Please stand for the singing of our national anthem by Jonathan Elmore.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Good afternoon. On behalf of the university community, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Fall 2019 Graduate Commencement Exercises. We want to thank our governing body today, the Virginia Tech Board of Visitors, led by Rector Horacio Valeris, for their deep commitment to the university. I also want to welcome Dr. John Ferris, faculty representative to the board, who is with us today. Please join me in recognizing the university's Board of Visitors. Through this ceremony, we recognize your significant achievement and celebrate your talents, skills, and hard work. It is also important to note that these students would not have achieved their goals without the teaching, guidance, and mentorship of Virginia Tech's outstanding faculty. I would now like the faculty to please stand and be recognized. Just as crucial as the role of the faculty, the supporting cast of family, friends, and community members behind each graduate student deserve recognition, with the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, partners, spouses, and children. And please stand so we can congratulate you as well. Graduate students are important to the university's research, teaching, and engagement missions, and are able to earn degrees in Blacksburg at locations across the Commonwealth and online. During the summer and fall semesters, 1,201 students earned advanced degrees and certificates from an offering of 89 master's and 70 doctoral programs in 8 colleges. There are approximately 300 graduates here today. As part of the graduate commencement, we invite an outstanding graduate student to provide a brief message on behalf of the graduating student body, followed by a keynote speaker to provide reflections and perspectives. It is now my pleasure to present Virginia Tech's Executive Vice President and Provost, Cyril Clark, who will introduce the speakers.
It is my pleasure to introduce our graduate student speaker, Najla Mouchrek. Najla will receive her individualized interdisciplinary PhD today, becoming the first person in the history of Virginia Tech to earn this highly specialized and innovative degree. Her doctoral research is focused on youth studies and human-centered design. After a 17-year career in public institutions in Brazil, Najla came to Virginia Tech, where she worked for 4 years in academic affairs, supporting student-centered programs and initiatives, and systematic change strategies. She now serves as the Program Director for Interfaith Leadership and Holistic Development, applying her skills and research in human-centered design to create meaningful experiences for Virginia Tech students, with a focus on interfaith engagement and purpose-driven learning and educational exploration. Please join me in welcoming Najla Mouchrek.
Thank you, Dr. Clark, for the kind introduction. Good afternoon. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be speaking to you today. On behalf of all graduates, I would like to thank President Tim Sands, Provost Cyril Clark, Dean Karen DePaul, our advisors, faculty and staff members, family, friends, for joining us in this special occasion. It is with deep respect and gratitude that I thank all of you for your continued support to me and to my fellow graduates during this journey. My heartfelt congratulations to all graduates. We know the amount of hard work, perseverance, creativity, endurance, and collective support that was needed to complete these graduate degrees and certificates. We received today an advanced degree from a top university. Together, we compose this enormous and greatly diverse pool of highly skilled professionals, walking back to find new ways to integrate this knowledge into the lives of communities around the world. Coming to Virginia Tech has changed my life in so many ways. I left my life in Brazil, following a sense that there was a bright opportunity for growth and development for me out there, I mean here. I followed my husband, Wallace Lages, now Dr. Wallace Lages, who came for a PhD in computer science in this new and challenging adventure. It was not an easy transition for me, especially because I miss my family every single day. I was then accepted in the new individualized interdisciplinary PhD and started to navigate those uncharted territories. Today I share with you my journey that I hope may inspire you. I'm thrilled to say that part of my family came all the way from Brazil to attend the ceremony today. Isami, my mother, my daughters Clara and Beatriz. It is to my family and to my dear Wallace that I dedicate this accomplishment. During my journey at Tech, I was always guided and sustained by a deep aspiration to help to develop something to support and empower young people to develop their whole selves. My own young people, my daughters, were my most intense source of inspiration, so close, even being geographically apart. At Virginia Tech, I had the opportunity to create my own course of studies, combining youth development and human-centered design. I had amazing support and guidance from my advisory committee. I learned a great deal while working in student-centered initiatives as a graduate student in academic affairs. I made very good friends. I met remarkable people from many different countries. Here, I found my voice and my opportunity to embody my true self in the world. I realized that I absolutely want and need to work for something that is truly meaningful for me. I was fortunate to find my purposeful job right here. I will now work to help Hokies find unity in diversity as Program Director for Interfaith Leadership and Holistic Development in the Dean of Students Office. And today, in this joyful day, I want to talk to you about the search for purpose in life. Well, the concept of career has shifted in the last decades. Career is not anymore seen as a fixed and stable sequence of stages. As social contexts continuously change, Career is now seen as individual scripts through which we create meaning as we design our own trajectories. More than ever, we need to define by ourselves our motivations, our driving forces, our goals. Mira Alfassa said, "A life without purpose is a life without joy." Each of us must have a goal. The quality of your goal will determine the quality of your life. Your goal should be high and wide, generous and altruistic. This will make your life precious to yourself and to others. Our aspiration can only be accomplished if we carry out a process of constant self-improvement. It is within us that takes place the greatest enterprise of all, the continuing development of consciousness. The invitation is upon us to transform ourselves and become our best selves every day. Again, we just earned an advanced degree from this outstanding university. Let's ask ourselves, how might we make this degree fit in the grand scheme of things in our lives? How can it serve a greater purpose? If we could choose, and we can, how would we like our work to contribute to the common good? The world, and especially the people in this world, needs so many things right now and along the next few decades, at the local level, at the global level. And land-grant universities like Virginia Tech, they are founded in the commitment to apply knowledge in service of others. So, to what process of change in this world would we like to dedicate our work, our energy, our days? Who do we want to build this world for? What is the great new thing we want to help to build in this world? Remember, caring and working for a purpose beyond the self does not mean sacrificing the self. On the contrary, it makes possible for us to actualize our potential and our dreams. Now it is the time to wish upon a star. Let your higher aspirations be your guiding stars. Now is the time for us to envision our lives the way we want them to be, the way they might be, and take action in that direction. Let's create together new and bright visions of possibilities for the future. Let's nurture in ourselves and in our communities a sense of optimism and motivation for service. Let's put our degrees to work for something that is meaningful for us and beyond us. Again, congratulations on this remarkable accomplishment, Virginia Tech Fall 2019 graduates. Our journey continues. I wish you the very best on all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Najla. It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker. Patricia Raun is the Director of the Center for Communicating Science at Virginia Tech and a Professor of Theatre Arts in the School of Performing Arts. Having served as Department Head of Theatre and Director of the School of Performing Arts, she is now focused on understanding how the powerful tools of the theatre can be used to develop communication skills for scientists, technology professionals, scholars, and perhaps even a provost, helping them become more direct, personal, spontaneous, and responsive. Her honors for leadership and teaching include a 2010 Virginia Tech Excellence in Administration Award, a 2011 College of Arts and Architecture Alumni Award from Penn State, and a 2017 College of Fine and Performing Arts Outstanding Alumni Award from the University of Nebraska. This year, she and her colleague, Carrie Kayla, received the Virginia Tech Alumni Award for Excellence in outreach. Please join me in welcoming Patty Raun.
Thank you, Provost Clark. What a great day. Congratulations. And thank you to all of the people, including the administrative staffs, the campus police, facilities workers, faculty, administration, friends, and family who've had a hand in supporting the graduates on this wonderful occasion. I want to start by sharing a story of my life. As you know, I'm an actor, and it was not long ago that I found myself in a sterile laboratory wearing a white lab coat. I was leading theater improvisation games for a group of health professionals. We were surrounded by stainless steel tables, and just beyond the stainless steel tables, there was an array of formerly living creatures, their skeletons. There was a horse, I think there was a donkey, a bird, a cat, dog. Anyway, in the middle of a particularly intense role play exercise, a group of 3 or 4 people came into the room with a draped lump and gestured for my attention. Excuse me, they said, could we just use this corner table? We just have a quick dissection to do. And I thought, how in the heck did I get here? Well, I might ask myself the same thing today. In fact, the only thing I could come up with was when Karen DePaul invited me to be the speaker today and to join the stage party. I thought she said cast party. This is quite different. But seriously, I am humbled and honored by the lovely challenge to share some thoughts with you on what seems to me to be a sacred day. Before going on, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that the U.S. is mainly a nation of immigrants, and that every community, certainly including Blacksburg, owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who've contributed their hopes and dreams and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some who built this nation were brought here against their will. Some have lived in places, have come from places with the hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. I acknowledge the Tutelo Monacan people, who are the traditional custodians of this land on which we work and live, and I pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. There is a line in a Mary Oliver poem that goes, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?" I know that for some of you that's a really annoying question because you've been asking that of yourself for a while. And in preparing this talk, I asked a lot of people for advice on what I might share with you as you set out to explore the answer to that question. And when I asked the oldest and wisest person that I know, my mother, she said, tell them to be true to themselves and to think before they speak, and that no decision is the last decision they will make. My mother's words reminded me of a book by Parker Palmer in which he writes about his first encounter with the old Quaker saying, "Let your life speak." In the book, Palmer wrestles with that phrase, "Let your life speak." Eventually, he settles on an interpretation that suggests that we must each listen to the voice of our lives, what our lives are telling us, in order to live meaningfully and to uncover vocation. I think of it myself as listening to the still, small voice inside that connects all of us with something beyond our own natural self-centeredness. Listening to that voice can help us open to the world. Now, I'm not talking about attending to that loud inner critic that fosters fear and shame. I am talking about listening deeply to the centered, compassionate voice that gives one courage to risk and fail and risk again. The voice that allows you to acknowledge yourself as a vital part of the sacred oneness of life on this planet. Now that may sound corny, but it's the same voice that allows us to experience empathy for those around us. Urbanist William H. White wrote, "The great enemy of communication is the illusion of it." Isn't that true? We think because we've said something, we've been heard. Or because we sent the email, somebody read it. He goes on to say, maybe we as a culture have talked enough, but we have not listened. And by not listening, we have failed to understand the immense complexity of our society and the great gaps between ourselves and those with whom we seek understanding. My academic and professional preparation was in the intricacies of theatrical storytelling. Over the years here at Virginia Tech, I became more and more involved in administration. I experienced it initially as an intensely creative act. Although I did develop in those years a new relationship with the Latin word humilitas. After some of the experiences of those years, I have a deep awareness that institutions cannot be humane or just. That only the people that form them can choose to behave in ways that are humane and compassionate and fair. Or not. And they can choose to construct compassionate and human-centered policies, or not. And that is also about listening. In any case, after a while, the still small voice inside me made it clear that a change in vocation was due. Theologian Frederick Buechner said something like, "Your vocation is where your great joy meets the world's great needs." Your vocation is where your great joy meets the world's great needs. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I can recognize an equation when I see one. Vocation equals your joy plus world's needs. Well, the thing that makes me most joyous has always been exploring ways to make the big, dark, often scary void between people narrower and less scary. It happens when we actors learn to imagine the details of the life of a character. How would I feel? What would I think? What would I do if I were in that person's position with all of the given circumstances of their life? Eager curiosity about the details of the life of another is a powerful engine for the imagination, and through the imagination, to a deep sense of connection to other people. So I knew what brought me joy. Now, about the other half of the equation, the world's great needs. As we move into the third decade of the 21st century, it is clear that the most urgent challenges facing human civilization are complex and interconnected. They could be thought of as one thing. And in order to address this challenge, we must destroy the silos that we've created. We must reach beyond professional boundaries. We must include all those impacted, not just those with the wealth and privilege and education to influence policy. It's all bound together. Natural resources, education, migration, health, climate change, inequality, they are all aspects of one challenge. And not a single facet of that challenge can be addressed by an independent discipline or focus or machine. Arlene Goldbard writes, "For a long time, we've been sold a story in which machines play the protagonist. Those who shaped our largest institutions have been seeking ways to make human beings behave ever more like machines in inhumane systems. They have prized efficiency and finding value through quantification. To the degree this mechanization project succeeds, it makes us miserable. Machines have often been a boon to pleasure and freedom, but we need to make use of them, not be controlled by them." And so I say, we must rebuild our abilities to connect, to collaborate, to listen. We must repair the social fabric and transcend our mechanization, our individual egos, and our self-interest. This challenge, the challenge of our lives, cannot be addressed by individual heroes or saviors, isolated disciplines, or by competitive means. It's going to take all of us to work together beyond boundaries. New ideas and approaches are born of connected human interaction across differences of all kinds: political, racial, cultural, religious, education level, research specialty. We must all become as able to adopt one another's perspectives and to understand the stories of others as the most insightful actor. Our future depends on it. Like my mother said, no decision is ever the last one you'll ever make. After 30 years, I finally found my vocation. I'm using the tools that I learned as an actor in some pretty unconventional ways and unusual places, like that vet med lab that I told you about at the beginning of my talk. The existential challenges of this world require creative, courageous, and humane listeners in all sectors. And each one of us needs to lead from wherever we are. In committing to this direction in my life, I have stumbled on happiness. It's the happiness that comes from unbounded curiosity about the myriad applications of theater practice and story. I wake up every day believing my work matters, because every single study of the resilience that civilization will require to thrive on this rapidly changing planet makes it clear that connection is the key. The ability to work together to overcome adversity will prepare us for the future, whatever that holds. So I ask you that are graduating on this sacred day, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? Where is the world's great need for your work? Where are your specific joys most relevant? What are you hearing from your life about your vocation? I challenge you to listen to your life, to reach out and build unexpected partnerships with students and colleagues from other disciplines and with people from all walks of life. Seek out the understandings they will share with you and explore how you might let your life speak in new ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patty, for sharing your story, reminding us the importance of listening. And you indicated that you hope that you are making a difference. You are, because you are I'm very certain that there are a number of faculty and graduate students out there who have experienced and taken your course in communicating science. So thank you very much, Patty. Each year, we select an unsuspecting graduate student for special recognition. And I would ask Bob Edmondson to stand. There he is. Bob is earning his Doctor of Philosophy degree in Computer Science and Applications. Bob currently serves as the Director of Software Development and Learning Systems area of TELOS, Technology Enhanced Learning and Online Strategies. He has also served as an instructor in the Grado Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. Prior to his current position, Bob was the Senior Research Associate for the Virginia Tech Software Technologies Lab. In that role, Bob was instrumental in building the current online graduate admissions application, as well as the electronic signature system, and I know all of you know both the admissions and the ESS system. Each of you in this room, the graduate students, used that, and Bob has been the designer of that. He's been a longtime friend of the graduate school, and we offer our heartfelt congratulations on completing your doctoral degree, and we look forward to continuing our working relationship with you. Thank you, Bob. Among the graduating students, there are many other stories and journeys that could be told, and we don't have time to share all of the stories, but I am going to attempt to highlight some milestones and achievements along the way. The individual journey varies, especially given the online and multiple locations through which we offer graduate degrees. In the greater Washington, D.C. metro area, Roanoke, Richmond, online, and beyond. If you have earned your degree from these other locations, please stand so we can Thank you. You may be seated. I think it's really important that we recognize that graduate education is around the Commonwealth, and even though we think that a lot of graduate education goes on here in Blacksburg, I very much appreciate the other ways that you all have earned the degrees. Today, we wish to honor and celebrate your achievements and accomplishments. As such, I want to acknowledge that among the graduates today are those who have received fellowships or scholarships, those who have received awards, including Teaching Excellence Service Award, thesis and dissertation awards. There are many of you who have earned special recognition as outstanding master's or doctoral students in your college. Some have been Graduate Student of the Year. Some of you have earned the marks of distinction as a Graduate School Citizen Scholar, Diversity Scholar, or Boucher Scholar. Many of you have participated in the grad school's Global Perspectives program and were inducted into the Graduate Honor System, Alpha Epsilon Lambda, the Interdisciplinary Research Honor Society, and the Academy for GTA Excellence. Many of you have served as a GTA, GRA, or a graduate assistant, and I thank you for that service. Many of you have shared feedback for helping me and the grad school make a better experience for you. I realize that not all of you were able to participate in these opportunities, but I do know that all of you worked hard to earn your graduate degree and contributed to the Virginia Tech graduate community. So I will ask all of you to stand as I ask the audience to join me in a round of applause in recognition of your accomplishments, and thank you for being a part of the VT graduate community. Please stand. You may be seated. As we prepare to introduce the candidates for graduate degrees, I want to share a tradition that the grad school began over 12 years ago, the presentation of an original music composition as a gift to the graduating students, written solely to celebrate this day. Today's composition by Associate Professor Dwight Bigler is entitled Fanfare for Brass. Please take a few minutes to enjoy the music and the accompanying images and reflections you will see on the screen.
We will now begin the conferral of doctoral degrees. A very old and special tradition in academia accompanies the presentation of doctoral degrees. The doctoral candidate and the student's major advisor, the advisor who most mentored and supervised the student's research, walk together to the stage where the advisor places the hood over the head of the graduate. By hooding the graduate, the faculty member symbolically welcomes the graduate as a professional colleague, and this professional relationship and friendship often continues throughout the graduates' and the mentors' lives.
Will all candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor to present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Education degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Please be seated. Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the doctoral degrees and their major professors to the stage for the hooding ceremony. Dr. Joe Marola will be reading the names of the doctoral recipients and the hooding professors.
As the receiving the Doctor of Philosophy from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences in Agriculture and Extension Education, Robert Tyrone Bass, hooded by Professor Kim Niewolny. And Assistant, Chantel Yvonne Simpson, hooded by Professor Curtis Friedel. Patricia Lane Woodward, hooded by Professor Rick Rudd. In Animal and Poultry Sciences, Jung-Hyun Ryu, hooded by Professor Rick Rudd. In Biochemistry, A.E.M. Rubaiyat Ilahi, hooded by Professor Michael Klemba. In Crop and Soil Environmental Sciences, Clara Ray Irvin, hooded by Professor Mark Reiter. In Economics, Agriculture, and Life Sciences, Xin Ning, hooded by Professor Wen Yu. Ro Ding Shi, hooded by Professor Wen Yu and Professor George Davis. Kate Elise Vac-Norris, hooded by Professor Catherine La Rochelle. Wei Shi Wang, hooded by Professors Kevin Boyle and Kelly Coburn. Yan Liang Yang, hooded by Professor George Davis and Professor Wen Yu. In Food Science and Technology, Nicole Leanne Arnold, hooded by Professor Renee Boyer. In Horticulture, Tomas Nestor Hassing Rodriguez, hooded by Professor David Huck. In Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise, Zhao Wang, hooded by Professor Dongmin Liu. In plant pathology, physiology, and weed science, Bhupendra Acharya, hooded by Professor Hilary Mal. Sean Christopher Beam, hooded by Professor Michael Flessner. From the College of Architecture and Urban Studies in Public Administration and Public Affairs, Loretta Ann Copeland Daniels, hooded by Professor Karen Holt. Faith Gibson Hubbard, hooded by Professor Robin Lemaire. From the Pamplin College of Business in Business Information Technology, Ji Lai Chow, hooded by Professor Alan Wong and Professor Tabitha James. In Hospitality and Tourism Management, Yuan Li, hooded by Professor Manisha Singhal. From the College of Engineering in Aerospace Engineering, Kyle Andreas Daniel, hooded by Professor Todd Lowe. William Bryce Gear, hooded by Professor Craig Woolsey. Hunter Grant McClelland, hooded by Professor Craig Woolsey. Jonathan Paul Reardon, hooded by Professor Joseph Schetz and Professor Todd Lowe. John Ackroyd Webster III, hooded by Professor Wayne New and Professor Stefano Brizzolara. In Biomedical Engineering, Danielle M. Cristino, hooded by Professor Warren Hardy. Harshvardhan Umakant Deshpande, hooded by Professor Warren Bickle. Melissa Carol Kenny, hooded by Professor Jake Socha. Timothy O'Brien, hooded by Professor Rafael Davalos. Niels Potter, hooded by Professor Mark Van Dyke. In Chemical Engineering, Prudvidar Reddy Gadam, hooded by Professor William Ducker. Zhang Li, hooded by Professor Hong Liang Xin. In Civil Engineering, Kara Bakish Kalarastagi, hooded by Professor Kevin Heaslip. Karim Fadloun, hooded by Professor Heshem Raka. Zhan Yu Huang, hooded by Professor George Fils. Stephanie Ann Klaus, hooded by Professor Amy Pruden and Professor Gerardo Flinch. Sneha Upadhyaya, hooded by Professors Russell Green and Adrian Rodriguez Maris. What's... I don't see. Can you? Dane Andrew Brown. Can someone figure out where he goes, please? Oh, right. I found it. Okay. Ryland Wayne Music Jr., hooded by Professor Gerardo Flinch. Jehendad Khan, hooded by Professor Peter Athanas. Jason M. McGinty, hooded by Professor Alan Michaels. Kimberly Zeitz, hooded by Professor Scott Midkiff. In Computer Science and Applications, Kenneth Robert Edmison, hooded by Professor Stephen Edwards. Mohammed Shabir Hassan, hooded by Professor Li Qing Zhang. Shuo Niu, hooded by Professor Scott McCrickard. Saima Sultana Titi, hooded by Professor Li Qing Zhang. John Edward Wenskovich Jr., hooded by Professor Chris North. Zhaoong Yu, hooded by Professor Danfeng Yao. Xuan Zhang, hooded by Professor Edward Fox. Tugba Erpek, hooded by Professor Charles Clancy. Daniel Herrera, hooded by Professor Luke Lester. Ellen Faith Robertson, hooded by Professor Greg Earl. In engineering education, Rashida Charday Lewis, hooded by Professor Marie Peretti. Darren Curtis Maxka, hooded by Professor Jacob Groves. David Patrick Reaping, hooded by Professor David Knight. Michelle Millette Soldad, hooded by Professor Jacob Groves. In engineering mechanics, Khaled Ajarid, hooded by Professor Jake Socha and Professor Rafaela De Vita. In industrial and systems engineering, Philip Ryan Agee, hooded by Professor Brian Kleiner and Professor Andrew McCoy. Laura Elizabeth Savage, hooded by Professor Don Taylor. Sophia Ullman, hooded by Professor Maury Nussbaum and Professor Divya Srinivasan. In material science and engineering, Nicholas Chartrain, hooded by Professor Christopher Williams and Professor Abby Whittington. Min Gao, hooded by Professor Dwight Wieland. Shane Thomas Seaman, hooded by Professor Randy Heflin. In mechanical engineering, Robert Tyler Holliday, hooded by Professor Michael von Spakowski. Eurydice Kanimba, hooded by Professor Scott Huxtable. David Earl Mayo, Jr., hooded by Professor Todd Lowe. Sterling Marcelo McBride Granda, hooded by Professor Corina Sandu. Dehui Wang, hooded by Professor Yang Liu. In mining engineering, Ming Fan, hooded by Professor Chang Chen. In nuclear engineering, Kyle Sergei Song, hooded by Professor Yang Liu. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences in Career and Technical Education, Diane C. Tomlinson, hooded by Professor William Price. Ji Hyun Woo, hooded by Professor William Price. In counselor education, Jenna Ray Fitzgerald, hooded by Professor Laura Welfare. Jyotsna Sharma, hooded by Professor Gerard Lawson. In curriculum and instruction, Nauf Mohammed bin Tabit, hooded by Professor Barbara Lockie. Rong Bai Chang, hooded by Professor Griselda Tilly Lubbs. Jessica Tanya Krakenfels, hooded by Professor Bradley Bowen. Brielle Tinsley Spencer Tyree, hooded by Professor Bradley Bowen. Qing Zhang, hooded by Professor Barbara Lockie. In Educational Research and Evaluation, Jean Anne Marie Canis, hooded by Professor David Niola. And we're going to have to get the names of the mini partners for future commencements. In higher education, Marlena Brooke McLaughlin Lester, hooded by Professor Holly Matusevich. From the College of Natural Resources in Forestry, Patrick Corey Green, hooded by Professor Harold Burkhart. Shinde Ji, hooded by Professor Kelly Coburn. Stephen Daly Kruger, hooded by Professor John Munsell. Katie E. Trazo, hooded by Professor John Munsell. In Geospatial and Environmental Analysis, Hao T. Tran, hooded by Professor Jim Campbell. From the College of Science in Biological Sciences, Angie Carol Estrada Lopez, hooded by Professor Jeff Walters. In Chemistry, Cecilia Lynn Amick, hooded by Professor John Morris. Catherine Valentine Heffron, hooded by Professor Timothy Long. Chadwick R. Powell, hooded by Professor John Matson. Connor Hayes Sharp, hooded by Professor John Morris. Matthew Ryan Vincent, hooded by Professor Hervé Morand. In Mathematics, Cotiso Andre Boura, hooded by Professor Hervé Morand. In Statistics, Rijin Liu, hooded by Professor Hongxiao Zhu. Thomas Anthony Metzger, hooded by Professor Christopher Franck. Liang Shan, hooded by Professor In Young Kim. From the Virginia Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine, in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, Bruno Carvalho Menarim, hooded by Professor William Huckle. Amanda Dawn Hazy, hooded by Professor Michelle Thus. In interdisciplinary doctoral degrees in genetics, bioinformatics, and Computational Biology, James Thomas Schlitt, hooded by Professor Brian Lewis and Professor Stephen Eubank. In individual interdisciplinary PhD, Najla Mouchrek, hooded by Professor Mark Benson. In macromolecular science and engineering, Jake Jeffrey Fallon, hooded by Professor Michael Bortner. In translational biology, medicine, and health, Lika Atamne, hooded by Professor Warren Bickle. Jan Wu Lebovitz, hooded by Professor Michel Thus. Magna Verma, hooded by Professor Michel Thus. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Dora Mae Banks, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Cora Beatrice Cofield, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Janos Dimitrios Misitsis, hooded by Professor John Dunn. Shantae Renee Wright, hooded by Professor Carol Cash.
Let's give a round of applause to our doctoral recipients. Will all the candidates for the master's degree and the education specialist degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor to present the candidates for the master's degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the master's degrees to which you are entitled with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
You may be seated. Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the master's degree and the education specialist degrees to the stage. Once again, Dr. Marola will be reading the names of the master's recipients.
From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Educational Specialist degree, Marjo Ann Eiler Holthaus. From the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, receiving the Master of Science in Agriculture and Extension Education, Samuel Philip Leach. Receiving the Masters of Science in Agricultural and Life Sciences, Amber Elise Anderson. Courtney Lindsay. Receiving the Masters of Science in Animal and Poultry Sciences, Lauren Nicole Kimball. Alex Pauliakonis. Receiving the Master of Science in Crop and Soil Environmental Sciences, Matthew Herman. Receiving the Masters of Life Sciences in Food Science and Technology, Janae Brittany Kessinger. From the College of Architecture and Urban Studies, receiving the Master of Architecture, Nancy Chen. Christina Maria Fernandez Thompson. Flavia Guiza. Receiving the Master of Science in Building Construction Science and Management, Justin Tyler Ledden. Zach McBride. Matthew T. Reese. David Wilson. Wilson Abduman Zavala Jr. Receiving the Master of Fine Arts in Creative Technologies, Hannah Comstock. David J. Franusic. Tacey Nicole Jones. Jasmine Brooke Edison. Receiving the Master of Landscape Architecture, Melissa Johnson. Receiving the Master of Public Administration, Amrit Pal Singh. Holly Faye Ward. Michael Joseph Donato. Alex Alvarado. Trang Vu. Sandra Pearl Freeman. Brady Deal. Receiving the Master of Urban and Regional Planning, Jonathan P. McCoy. From the Pamplin College of Business, receiving the Master of Accounting and Information Systems, Helena Charity Snow. Miranda Renee Bradley. Ming Swan Wu. Receiving the Master of Business Administration, Elizabeth Foyle Russell. Laura Arlene Steinberg Hagee. Whitney Showalter, +1. Jillian Broadwell. Brett Driver. Lin Gu. Wayne Crotto. Jessica Ray Braden. Karina D. Navarez. Kelly Griffin. Jason Kazanznak. Rick Melgar. Richard Mack. Judy Maged Mohammad Abdel Halim Radi. Mary Ann Romero. Vanella Ral Ancha. Habib Ahmadi. Receiving the Master of Science in Finance, Evgenia Olegovna Komarova. Varun Gatji. Venkata Pradeep Kumar Paruchuri. Shailesh Bagadi. Shravan K. Jogu. Daniel Jackson Kapoor. Trevor D. Hughes. Receiving the Master of Science in Hospitality and Tourism Management, Natalia Rebecca Rodriguez de Barrientos. Reham Hassan Elbana Ahmed. Khalid Abdullah M. Maghrabi. From the College of Engineering, receiving the Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering, Christian Martin. Tejaswini Gautam. Receiving the Master of Science in Civil Engineering, Catherine Elizabeth Prince. Roger Clark Nittle. Hunter Ingram. Rachel Kaiser. Jenna Ritchie. Maria Gabriela Nolivos Galarza. Alex Michael Giuliano. Taylor Scott Adams. Manish Dulal. Tat Ching Tum. Prakash Gimiri. Zixuan Wang. Corbin Charles Atreed. Becca Baumstark. Franz Bustilos Tarifa. Sayantan Tarafdar. Michael Kalfi. Abriel Yushan Chavez. Morgan Jenkins. Madison Hall. Matthew James Rover. Sunil Divakar. Jack Gergel. Delaney Colleen Thompson. Christopher Montalvo. Andrea Gabriela Ruano Duke. Ashley Nicole Sumner. Sun Jae Lee. Bi Lin Tong. Trung Tran Truong. Ji Hao Wang. Kevin Wu. Ashit Harod. Kartik Varma Vagesna. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Computer Engineering, Raja Venkata Satya Fanindra Chava. Receiving the Master of Science in Computer Science and Applications, Alyssa Herbst. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Electrical Engineering, Michael Emanuel. Naomi Louise Walker. Pratigya Shrestha. Natasha Sahani. Genesis Barbie Alvarez. Receiving the Master of Science in Environmental Engineering, Sarah Bush. Allison Caitlin Partin. Kyung Sun Chung. Pamela Mann. Xiaoran Ma. Receiving the Master of Science in Industrial Systems Engineering, Yu Yao. Caris Elizabeth Boyd Sinkler. Nayara de Oliveira Faria. Receiving the Master of Science in Materials Science and Engineering, Ling Chen Kong. Receiving the Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Yanis Papakis. Bo Shi Zhang. Receiving the Master of Science in Mining Engineering, Morgan Leek. Receiving the Master of Science in Systems Engineering, Brandon Andrew Rice. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Master of Arts in Communication, Megan Lynn Gaskell. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Career and Technical Education, Tammy Wooten Fuller. Hannah Campbell. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Curriculum and Instruction, Tiffany Nicole Bishop. Jonna Lynn Havens. Kathleen Marie Zink. Tyrell Allen Smith. Callie Clayton. Christina Suzanne Whitaker. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Caitlin Pomerantz. Receiving the Master of Arts in Political Science, Kelly Chipchis Yi. Elizabeth Moore. David Stephen Nasca. From the College of Natural Resources and Environment, receiving the Master of Natural Resources, Allison Kupar. Mona Habib Fakahani. Colleen Lacey. Spencer Allen Stater. Alina Mejias Rojas. Dorina Bugleditz. Mickey Hudson. Emily Newberg. From the Virginia Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine, receiving the Master of Science in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, Stacy Lauren Clothier. Receiving the Master of Public Health, Kimberly M. Wingfield. From interdisciplinary degree programs, receiving the Master of Information Technology, Daniel McCoy. Ezekiel Carson. Manohar Rao Ranjaneni. Malashaya Aladi. Jeffrey Allen Mitchell. Charles Champ Clark III. Christopher Ralph Lother. Alexandria Hope Spears. David Christopher Jackson Rouleau. Elise Elam. Alan Brown. Arvid Yuen. James Scott Hammond, Amy Tunison Kobazak, Ethan Connor Carticello, Xian Chen, Trisha Krieghoff, Nicholas Cabrera, Christopher Tidings, Brian David Cook, Justin Kanashiro, Olivia Ashley Davis,
Please join me in a round of applause for our newly master's recipients. We have a long lineup over here. Now I would like to ask John Torget, Senior Associate Vice President for Leadership Gifts and Annual Giving, to share some congratulations and a message on behalf of the alumni.
Thank you, Vice President DePaul. Congratulations, graduates. I'm so pleased to be the first to welcome you as an alumnus or an alumna of Virginia Tech. You join more than 250,000 Hokies around the world who are part of our alumni family. These Hokies, because of their experiences here in Blacksburg and in other locations throughout the Commonwealth, are solving problems, serving their communities, and changing the world each and every day. As graduate students, so many of you have already served the community as researchers, teachers, and institutional ambassadors. Thank you. You have showed others how to live the ut prosum, and I have no doubt that you will continue this after graduation and well into the future. As the newest class of Hokies, please remember, becoming an alumna or an alumnus is a milestone within the context of a lifelong relationship with this university. This will forever be your home. Moving forward, you can stay involved in the life and be a vibrant member of our community, whether it's in your local alumni chapter, attending an alumni event on campus or somewhere around the world, or networking with other fellow Hokies and helping them achieve milestones in their lives. On behalf of the Virginia Tech Alumni Association, congratulations and welcome to the community.
And as we get close to the ending of this ceremony, I would like to call upon Dr. John Ferris, who is President of the Faculty Senate, so he can bring a brief message of congratulations on behalf of the university faculty.
Thank you, Dean DePaul. I guess this is the part where I should say something deeply philosophical, or at least mercifully short. Well, I thought back on my big life lessons, and I'm afraid the simplicity of what I have to say will probably disappoint you, but here it is. Do the right things for the right reasons. First, recognize that none of us got here by ourselves. A lot of people stood up and worked hard to get us where we are today, so be grateful and recognize that. As the speaker at a previous commencement ceremony said, all that we are, we owe. The way you pay back this debt is to use these gifts to benefit those around you, not just yourself, to pay it forward, ut prosim. Now, by the right thing, I don't mean anything radical. I'm talking about telling the truth, standing up for the underdog, and following through on your commitments. If you do these things, yes, there'll be some unhappy faces in the short term, but in the long term, the consequences that you suffer will be far less painful than you might imagine. In my experience, we vastly overestimate the negative consequences of doing the right thing. If you live this way, you'll have the benefit of knowing that you're living your life as you believe that you should, which is a private boon and a public gift, for people who recognize your moral basis through your words and deeds. After all, they're fellow human beings who understand integrity and honor and duty when they see it, because it's a fundamental part of them too. In the long term, this is what builds understanding and respect and trust and love, and that's how you can make your corner of the world a little better. Well, I imagine now you're wondering just how long I'm going to keep on talking. So I'll sum up by saying, do the right things for the right reasons, and don't fear the consequences. And let me finish by congratulating all of you on behalf of the faculty of Virginia Tech. And thanks to all our family and friends for their support. We wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ferris. And a special thanks to Dr. Marola as the reader of names, to the faculty ushers and marshals, to Jonathan Elmore and to Dr. Jay Crone and the members of the Virginia Tech Brass Ensemble for their part in this afternoon's ceremony. Now I'd like to ask you to please stand until the stage party has recessed. With the recessional, our ceremony will be concluded. Thanks for joining us, and have a safe trip home.